America, welcome into the Business Pulse. I'm your host, Chuck Barham, joined by Dean Owen. We are brought to you by the Freedom Chamber online at freedomchamber.net, the pro-American business network. Later in the program, we're going to have Wendy Kenny on from Revere Payments. If you're a business owner, I highly recommend you stick around for segment number 2. But right now, we're going to dive into Dean Owen and talk about the economy. I'm seeing my gas prices go down around Chicago, which is shocking with the amount of taxes that we have burdened ourselves with by being the big dumpster fire of the Midwest. What are you seeing down your way, Dean?
Well, I think what we're seeing nationally is we're coming off of this artificial high of M2, the money supply just being pumped and pumped and pumped, and we're starting to bring that back. So that is going to cause a slowing of the growth. It's going to cause, things to not be as lucrative. There's not as many dollars floating around in the system as there was a year ago. We're starting to see interest rates come down. They've been up way too high, way too long. That creates structural damage that takes time to show up. Brian Westbury, chief economist I'm good friends of and a big fan of, talked about with all the money that we put into the system was kind of like someone's had a very, very bad car wreck and they broke their pelvis. But in the ambulance, they dope them up with morphine. So when they get to the hospital, that doctor says, "How do you feel?" You go, "Oh, I feel great." Well, that's kind of what was going on with all this COVID stimulus, and it takes time for that stuff to wane out. It's what got us the inflation, and we're probably going to see a slowdown. It doesn't mean recession. It doesn't mean going into negative growth periods, but we're going to pull back and consolidate a little bit, and then we'll take back off again. We get interest rates right and business CapEx spending is going to happen. It's going, it's happening. It's committed to, but it takes time to get shovels into the ground, get holes dug, get fence built factories. President is doing everything he can to push this as far forward as he can. You'll notice that he's put tariffs on imported pharmaceuticals unless the pharmaceutical company has something underway to build the facilities here to make our drugs here. So I'm not worried about it. The stock market is telling us, stock market will look 6 to 12 months ahead at earnings, and it's on fire. So it's looking at first quarter, second quarter next year and telling us things look great. Company earnings are still coming in strong, but I think we're going to see a little bit of slowdown in spending. That's why gas prices have come down a little bit. We've got this stuff going on with China, and the president's about had his fill of messing with them in their tariff garbage. So every once in a while, he just throws out a bomb. And that's his negotiating style. It's just part of the way he does things, carrot or stick. Either come alongside us with commerce or we're going to create chaos. And that's his MO on every single deal. And so that creates some disruption, that creates some unknowns, and markets don't like unknowns, and the economy doesn't like unknowns. So some companies are probably set back and they're sitting on capital spending going, hey, let's make sure this is all going to go like it's supposed to before we put shovels in the ground. And that's fine. From a strategic standpoint and a tactical standpoint, I think the president knows that we're going to have to go through this consolidation. It's just there's too much excess in the economy the last few years, and we want to go through that this quarter and next, so that second quarter of next year the economy is on fire going into the midterms. And this president is not above playing politics. We always know presidents do, but sometimes you have to. You got to play the game to win. If you don't play the game, you don't win. So I think there's a lot of that going on right now.
Absolutely. I know you mentioned China, and one of the big things with China right now is soybeans. And a lot of the farmers in the Midwest or around the country that harvest soybeans are starting to feel that pinch. So what does President Trump do? He goes, okay, we'll start making our own oil here in the United States, for commerce and agriculture. And that kind of sent that shockwave, that little grenade, as you said, he likes to plant out there. So we'll see how that rolls out. And the other big deal that happened since we were on the air last week was the Middle East peace agreement. That, I believe, is going to be a great thing for the world if Hamas can adhere to it, which they're already starting to not adhere to it. But in the big scheme of things, I think whenever the Middle East is at peace, it's great for the world. It's great for commerce. It's great for everything. And President Trump speaks their language in the Middle East. And that's how I believe he was able to negotiate everything, because they love commerce. They love their money in the Middle East. Your thoughts on that, Dean?
Well, you look at the way this president operates, and he's unbelievably predictable. He's good. He's really good at it. But so you've got Qatar over here, and Qatar's half enemy, half friend. Frenemy. So how does he turn them away from the enemy side and towards friends all the time? Well, he gives them some security guarantees. Well, why did they need security guarantees? Because Israel bombed the daylights out of some people there and showed them that they have no defenses. If Israel decides they want to bomb them, they're completely free to do so. So then President Trump stepped in, gave them some assurances that they needed and wanted, gave them a chance to where they can train at one of our air bases. So now we've got a much more cordial relationship or a much tighter relationship. So now he's pulled them away from the dark side towards the light. And that's what he did with the entire Middle East. Egypt, Turkey, India, Pakistan, everybody was on board with squashing Hamas. And those countries all went to Hamas and said, you take this deal or he's going to kill you, and we're not going to help you. We're going to stand by. He's even gone to Iran and told them, hey, we'd still like to make a deal, make you a rich country and do a lot of commerce with you. You guys have got some good stuff. Let's go be buddies. Of course, they also understand that if you decide not to do that, you may get a few more big, beautiful bunker busting bombs. So he's carried a stick. And Hamas is probably going to get the stick. I don't know, from listening to the geopolitical folks I do and looking at history, can they actually manage to come out of the Old Testament thinking and the medieval times, thinking of just blood, slaughtered, kill, maim everybody, and even your own people, and it's all about just a Old Testament war that they never left the Old Testament era. So that's where that Hamas is. Now, can they leave that? I don't know. But the president's made them a really good offer and a chance to redeem themselves and move forward and come be part of the world stage and be an important player here, or getting systematically eliminated, possibly violently. And this president's made it very clear, and by now anyone who's watching should figure out this president keeps his word. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to. And he'll tell you, you have a choice. Do this, or I'm going to do that. And if they don't, well, he's got a deadline. And so we may end up seeing, he said very clearly that he would let Israel take revenge and take actions as an Old Testament country would have. And we know what that means. There's times when God told his people to slaughter everyone and leave no one behind. So that may be what we have to do. But if that's, so be it. Hamas has a choice to make. And
Sure.
it looks like they're making their choice in a way that would lead to their systematic demise.
Well, it's also great to see that he was able to get this done, but it's also interesting to see those that have always opposed President Trump came out and gave him praise. Some in a left-handed compliment way. I think the one that really shocked me was Hillary Clinton, that gave kudos to the Trump administration. Obama did not. None of the senators on the other side of the fence never really gave him one, except for the left-handed compliment, but it's to be expected. But what we know is we've got an agreement in place. Hopefully, under God's watch, we can continue to keep peace in the Middle East, because when the Middle East is at peace, the world is a better place. That is for sure. Dean, I'm looking at the middle of October here, and we're running up against a hard break. I know last week we talked about, I know it's kind of a weird leap to make between the Middle East to taxes, but it's all intertwined in the business world. We talked about businesses getting set up for the end of the year. What should retirees and people that are looking to retire start doing as they're ending, the watch here in 2025?
Well, one of the things that, for those retirees that have saved a lot of money, they really bought into the 401k argument or discussion, and they put away a lot of money, lived way below their means, and now they've got big IRAs and 401ks. What they don't realize is that thing has a huge ticking tax time bomb in it. And either they or their kids or beneficiaries are going to pay the tax. Someone's going to. So every year, if you got $20,000 in an IRA, it doesn't matter. You got $2 million, it really matters. You need to go in and take a look at what is your Roth conversion strategy, what is your tax rate, what are your beneficiaries' tax rate, and let's make some decisions about who needs to pay the tax on that. Because one of the negatives from the 2017 Tax and Jobs Act was that our beneficiaries generally have only 10 years to get the money out of those qualified plans. That's a big enough number that because of growth and some other things, you need to take about 15% out a year. Well, if you've got a $1 million IRA, that's $150,000 your beneficiaries are going to take out. That's going to put them in the 22% bracket. Their income is going to put them to the 24 or maybe the 32% bracket, where mom and dad maybe to convert that over to and 12%. And if $1 million, it's going to take more than that. But now with the new deduction for those over 65, we've got a much bigger opportunity to do Roth conversions. And we have to think about that in terms of tax rate, but also IRMA, which is what happens whenever when you make above certain amounts, your Medicare premiums start to go up. And they go up to almost $700 a month per person, starting at around 160. So it gets real painful when retirees start to see those numbers. But that means you got to start earlier doing those conversions, because at age 63 is when Medicare looks at your income. At 65, they're going to look back at age 63 and say, this is what your Medicare premiums need to be. And they adjust every year. So it's not one of these things where you just want to do maybe one giant Roth conversion does make sense. Usually it doesn't. Usually we need to do those with we create what's called a pro forma tax return, which is geek speak for projected tax return, and start making those decisions with a scalpel, not a chainsaw, and get that income just right under the next tax bracket. We tell everyone your current tax bracket is your friend, your next one is your enemy. You want all the friends you can get and none of your enemy. And when you talk about being able to save 10, 12% or more of an entire retirement account, that starts to become some real money. And ignoring this is what the cost you pay when you don't do these Roth conversions, go through this process. It's critical at starting in early 60s and look at it. Maybe this year is not the year for you, but at least make a conscious decision. And if you don't have someone in your corner helping you do that, get online, contact my team. Let's have some conversation. Conversation and friendship are always free. See if we can help disinherit the government and not your kids.
Amen to that. Where can they find you at, Dean? Where can they find you online?
Best place to find us is oncpa.com. Jump on. There's a chat function. There's a landing page. Give us a little bit of information. Connect with you. You're not going to get spammed. We're not going to use it somebody funny. We'll just use it to help. And let's build a relationship so that we know how to help. And, we're told we're supposed to build his kingdom here, and that takes money. And the more money you have, the more money you can help build, the more you can help build his kingdom. And we know when the federal government gets it, there's a whole bunch of them that want to tear it down.
Yeah,
so defund the enemy, fund the good guys.
Absolutely. That's Dean Owen, oncpa.com. On the backside of the break, we're going to bring into the conversation Wendy Kinney, the founder and CEO of Revere Payments. You're a business owner. Stick around. You're going to want to know who Wendy is and who Revere Payments is. This is the Business Pulse.
Hey, the Freedom Chamber is amazing. I'm so glad that we get to be here on the Freedom Chamber's Business Pulse. This is an organization you should support. It's an organization of which you should be a member. The Freedom Chamber is getting important things done in this country. And honestly, we need spaces for people who believe the sorts of things that if you're watching this, you probably do. We have gone through this extended period of not just canceling individuals, but just boycotting businesses and doing terrible things, debanking. Nigel Farage, who is likely to be the next prime minister of the United Kingdom, was actually debanked by all the major banks in the United Kingdom. And of course that happens here, and we get de-insured and all these terrible things. The Freedom Chamber is fighting for you. The Freedom Chamber is here to make sure that you're protected, that your values matter, they count, and they're in the public square. So I encourage everybody to join the Freedom Chamber.
America, welcome back to the Business Pulse. I'm Chuck Barham. We're brought to you by the Freedom Chamber online at freedomchamber.net, the pro-American business network, and proud to have on the show with us today the founder and CEO of Revere Payments. It's Wendy Kinney. Wendy, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Chuck.
Revere Payments, they are one of the founding members of the Freedom Chamber, and they do wonderful things. If you're a business owner, Wendy is who you need to connect with. And Wendy, talk to us about Revere Payments. How did it happen? What's Revere Payments about?
Okay, well, how did it happen?
How did it happen? How was it born?
20 years ago with Jesus, really. As some of you may or may not know, I'm an attorney by trade, and we entered into the cancel culture space 20 years ago. So that was in the MLM space, multi-level marketing, direct selling. and their banks were shutting them down 20 years ago. They deemed them as high risk. They thought they were pyramid schemes. And really, Jesus put it on my heart to fix that. And I thought, this is the craziest thing. I'm not a technologist. I'm not a payment person. I'm not a banker. And I dove into the payment space, and we really did fix the industry. We are still one of the top payment processors in the direct selling and MLM space to this day, which I love the industry. I've spent my career in that industry. From there, we moved into another area of cancel culture, and that was firearms. Firearms was under attack from the standpoint of banks deeming them high risk, and we started processing in the firearm space. And then we built the first really premier domestic CBD platform, and that came out of our clients in the MLM space wanting to add CBD as an ingredient. This is not psychotropic THC stuff. This is CBD lotions, potions, things that are healthy and impact the body in a positive way. So we built the CBD platform. And then about six and a half years ago, the Lord put it on my heart and said, okay, you're ready now. And I thought, oh, great. Finally, I've been in training this whole time, wondering what the real mission was. And then that's really when I think we all can think back when people were being canceled for an X post or Twitter then, an X post, or their political beliefs, or just being who they are, selling a product that their bank just didn't like. You know, we have a client who sold cigars, and they were themed around patriots and our former presidents, and that company was shut down 7 times. Another gentleman who makes custom knives. The banks don't like knives. So really, Revere was born in reverence to the Lord and really focused on true financial technology. So we built out a payment ecosystem that was really for American businesses to ensure that they were safe and secure, and they were able to do business without shutdown, without fear of being shut down or canceled.
Amazing stuff.
In a
And here we
nutshell.
are now, a founding member of the Freedom Chamber, and we're trying to do this exact same thing with our Freedom Chamber members, because still in today's day and age, they're still being pushed around, pushed back into a corner. A lot of business owners feel like they're alone, and that's just not true. There are definitely more of us than there are of them. And Dean Owen is one of them at Owen CPA. And Dean, I'm sure you've got many questions you guys could geek out in the financial world. That's where I'll step aside and let you guys have at it.
Well, Wendy, what you're doing God's work, because, you know, there is something to cancel culture. And I've got to the point where, okay, if you don't agree with my values, that's fine. It's no problem. Just stay on your side of the street. I'll stay on my side of the street. But then that is so much more rewarding when we're doing business with people. We have like-minded faith, like-minded conservative, evangelical patriots. We care about this country. We care about each other, and we want to help each other grow. We don't see each other as, you know, oh my God, she did well, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, I want Wendy, go, girl, go. You know, and we can champion each other. And so, yeah, you're doing God's work. And we saw what happened with PayPal. And Rod, who's on with us normally, was one of the founders at PayPal. And I know it crushed him to see what eventually the team that took over was doing there. So really great stuff. And I do have some questions. So you've got these payment processors that have been around for decades, and they're huge and they're massive. How do you compete with them on price and technology and all that kind of stuff? Because there's probably a perception that you guys are just a small mom and pop shop and you can't handle big volume.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. The payments industry, I think, is meant to be very elusive. It's meant to, I think, very few people, even business owners, can understand it. They don't understand the pricing. They don't understand how it works. And they want to go with someone they can feel safe and secure with, right? So what we did is we converted from being really a ISO sales office into a true acquirer fintech company. So we built out our own payment technology. So we built an entire payment ecosystem that is a competitor of the big guys. So from a pricing standpoint, we're at the same level they are, but also from a technology standpoint, we offer technology that's just superior. The bigger you get, the more stuck you get, the more bureaucratic you get, right? And so we're very agile. We're very customizable. We have the ability to customize technology quickly because we have our own in-house team. So all of our developers, coders, engineers are all here at Revere.
I mean, that's the great thing too, but it's also, you call Revere, it's an American-based company. You're going to speak to somebody that understands your needs as an American-based company. And when you do get those questions, Wendy, your 90-second elevator speech on why people should use Revere. How do you get that door from closing when you're trying to help a new business understand that, hey, we can really help you?
Well, the reality is, I'm shocked to find out how many people have had an issue with their payment processor. I mean, there is just, if they haven't had an issue, they know someone who's had an issue, and it's with the big guys. And then we have to really kind of talk them off the ledge because they have a little PTSD, having a bad experience or being fearful of hearing of a bad experience. Once they see our technology and then they see our list of clients, people like the Freedom Chamber who are really out there doing great things, then they're, I think, more assured. When you see our technology, I think that's really the key, because that payment ecosystem allows you to get away from cobbling together all kinds of solutions, whether it's a donor platform or an invoicing solution or AI fraud tool or a digital wallet. That's all built into the Revere Pay platform.
Understood.
Yeah,
I do know this. Go ahead, Dean. I know you got a question. Go ahead, bud.
I was just going to say, I know that we recently partnered with a different payroll company because we had one of the big ones and we were under contract, and COVID was just a hot mess. We couldn't get anything done. There was we had a relationship manager change every 2 weeks. So there's no continuity. But now they're a smaller company. They've got the good technology. They've got every bit of technology we had before. But I've got one person from my 3 companies. They always point of contact, and we do most of it in-house, but sometimes stuff goofs. And you call, you get a person who knows you, knows your company, knows your people. They speak English. They share our values. Yeah, and you're right, because I do a lot in the small business space, and I see a lot of those direct payment problems and processing errors, and it messes with people pretty hard. But I know being able to reach out to someone in America who understands the business and actually cares, man, is incredibly valuable. It's, we don't need to be talking about price when you talk about getting results.
Yeah. And that white glove service that you mentioned, Dean, which is so rare now, but should be so common, is exactly how it works at Revere Payments. Just like your payroll company, every single client is assigned a client success manager, and that manager's job, their sole existence, is to make you happy. You don't call an 800 number. We have an 800 number, but you're going to get a live person still. But your client success manager is the person who is responsible to handle everything in your account, and they can get you where you need to go without you having to call 5 different people. They know exactly who you are. They know exactly how your business works, and you can customize solutions, technology, reporting, whatever you need. You do that. You make that same type of call to the same person.
Wendy, where can people reach you? How can they get in touch with you? You've got the floor.
Well, I mean, definitely give us a call at Revere Payments. So you can go to reverepayments.com, or you can call us directly. You can go right onto our website, fill out a contact form, or you can call us 561-408-5408. We would love to talk to you. We have offices across the country, so we're open from East Coast all the way through West Coast and all over, even Europe, if you want to call us from Europe.
Absolutely. And I can personally vouch for Revere Payments and who Wendy says she is. She is one of us. She's a wonderful person. I guarantee you're going to be satisfied if you do use Revere Payments. We've used Revere Payments. We continue to use Revere Payments, and we do nothing but recommend Wendy and her company because they are top shelf. Dean, where can people find you online, bud, as we wrap up the segment?
OwenCPA.com. Jump on, fill out the landing page, start a conversation, connect with my team. The conversation friendship is always free. See what we can do to help. We're getting towards the end of the year. We need to be doing some planning. You don't want to let this year go by. There's lots of stuff going on. Like we talked about earlier with the One Big Beautiful Bill, you do not want to lose this year.
Absolutely. And if you've got a friend or a family member as you're watching this that has not joined the Freedom Chamber yet, highly recommend you do so. Find us online at freedomchamber.net. We are the pro-American business network, and you have been inside the Business Pulse.
My name is Dean Owen. I'm a CPA. I have a master's degree in taxation and a personal financial specialist. Tax laws are always changing. That's why you need a tax strategist, not just a tax preparer. You need someone to help you pay the least amount of tax legally. Because if your business and retirement tax planning is not tax smart, it's probably tax dumb.
Let's fix that today. Call me. Let's disinherit the government and not your kids. That's what my team and I do. This is who we are. I'm a combat veteran, unapologetically American, unapologetically pro-God, pro-life, and pro-Second Amendment. If those are the values you seek in a tax and money advisor, call us. Again, let's disinherit the government and not your kids. We're not afraid to share our values, and we share them with you.